It's been a little while since we've last seen the #1 player from Europe compete. What I've got for you today is a Zerk versus Terran, a best of 5 series between two absolute channel favorites. Spotting right here in the bottom right-hand corner in game #1 on a map called the Whispers of Gold, playing with the red Zerk drones. We have the man who's considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time, and he goes by the name of Serral. His opponent, up in the top left of the map, playing with the blue Terran pieces, joined by the little polar bear on the main command center, playing Terran this time. We have the world champion of StarCraft 2, winner of the EWC, the Esports World Cup, back in August. Of course, we have none other than Clem. Now, at the EWC, Serral and Clem faced off against each other in 2 separate series. Once throughout the tournament and then once in the grand finals. Clem, and this is insane, I don't think this has ever happened to Serral since he started getting good at the game back in like 2018 or so. Clem went 8-0 in map score against Serral. Now this is the first time that they're playing against each other again. Obviously Serral, since EWC, I mean there's a little bit of an asterisk right next to that event, even though he made it to the grand finals. Serral was also doing his mandatory military service at the time. He has since wrapped that up, so he's once more a professional, like full-time StarCraft pro, but he hasn't really been showing us any games. Most of the matches that we've seen him play, so he played 1 series I think, only really 1, against Showtime. That was like a show match. So that was a Basilisk show match. Serral obviously is part of Basilisk. I guess he probably didn't even want to play that one if he didn't need to, right? I think he probably would have, he would have probably preferred skipping that one if he needed to, or if he could have. But he decided to basically hide all of his strategies over the last couple of months. From what I understand, he's been practicing a lot on the PTR. Now that the new patch is actually live, this is the Serral that we have. Now, obviously, Serral is still an absolute monster. The general changes for Terran versus Zerk are pretty easy to describe. So early game is considered to be quite a bit worse for Zerk. The late game is quite a bit better for Zerk. That's essentially the TLDR. So when we get to that turtle stage in Terran versus Zerk, usually Zerk is going to be slightly more favored than it used to be in the past. And when it comes to the early game harassment, that is something that Zerk is certainly a bit more vulnerable to now, specifically because of the queen change. Now, Clem, of course, a very aggressive player. He doesn't really want to play that late-game turtle style if he doesn't need to. He'll prefer being in the opponent's face. So I think overall, across the board, this is better for Clem going up against Serral specifically. Serral, though, trying to see if he can still just play mostly a normal-looking strategy. He decides to go for a 3rd hatch pretty quick. 3rd queen already coming up. There's actually been some really interesting Zerk builds that we saw specifically at this tournament from, for example, Elaser. This is looking like a very normal one, so I don't think Serral's really gonna adjust his builds all too much. But there were some crazy strategies where we saw Zerk players opening up with only 3 queens. The norm in this matchup is to go 9 queens in the early game, but with the queen, well, 25 minerals more expensive, it really does change everything quite a bit. So a lot more quick Roach Warren openers, a lot more, well, in general, fast early game gameplay. It's interesting to see the focus shift a little bit from the queen onto other units instead. And I'm not sure exactly if the Roach is the perfect replacement for it, but this is a nice little counterattack right here from Serral, as we do have one of the creep tumors going down on the other side of the map. A few Zerklings run in. They're targeting down 2 SCVs. One building the gas geyser. In the meantime, we have no lings at home, though. Zerklings are coming in, and that means that those Hellions do have free reign. Keep in mind, there's 1 less queen. Serral's prioritizing droning right now, and because of that, he loses 8 of them. No, he's still being pesky on the other side of the map, though. Tries to get 1 final SCV. So it's 8 drones for 5 Terran workers here. 2 Hellions have also gone down. I don't mind this all too much right here for Zerk. He's going to be able to hold down the drone button some more. And even though Terran will be slowed down slightly as well, the 3rd CC at this point is done. He's going to be able to power up some more SCV production here very, very quickly. He tries to go in again. Now the queen numbers, though, are growing. Serral has a little bit more disposable income. So the big difference here in the early game for Zerk seems to be the amount of larvae, as we have a couple more lings, actually, finishing off the additional SCVs in the natural. So the main change that we have noticed, at least on the PTR, is that Zerg players would very frequently be sitting at like 5, 6, sometimes even more, as we do have the Hellions now, taking a bit of a beating. 5 to 6 larvae or so just idling, and it seems like Serral is still figuring out a way to spend out all of his larvae first before really doubling down on the queen production. Double evolution chamber in the back of the natural expansion. A lair will be started up here momentarily after those upgrades begin. This is not a very popular way actually to open up in ZVT anymore, although it might be more popular again moving forward. This is double upgrades from the Zerg before transitioning towards a lair. What it means is that any sort of Baneling speed is going to be significantly later, but obviously on the flip side, you do get a lot of, well, upgrade advantages. Oh, the Hellions hunting down the drones! 4 of those bad boys go down in addition to the ones that already died. A 5th one even fell as it was hugging that gas geyser. Okay. There's finally the lair, so almost 6 minutes into the game. The lair goes down. It means that Clem has quite an opportunity here. Oh, I honestly feel like he could have driven in there once more. He didn't know, though. He didn't know where those Hellions were or where those queens were located, but... yeah, bit of miscontrol here by the finisher, who's clearly trying to hold on, but taking quite a bit of damage in the early game. That's now 15 drones in total. I know we see this quite a bit from other Zerg players, but Serral is known to be extremely clean with his early game defense. Rarely does he take any damage at home. Serral losing 15 workers just like that is very significant. Now Clem has an opportunity to attack, especially against Banelings, until creep spread, well, is sufficient and until Baneling speed is done. Serral has decided to go for the 4th base over here on Whispers of Gold on the far left. That means that this creep over here, well, it needs to reach the ramp. It's quite a bit of distance that still needs to be covered, and Baneling speed does start up pretty quick. Burrow starts up pretty quick as well. Medevacs are gonna get shooed away by the queens for the time being. Serral going up to 8 queens here. That Liberator, man, 5 kills in total, still hanging out. Almost pretending to be like a Raven in Terran versus Protoss. Apparently there's a little bit of dead space, although he doesn't quite find the spot. Marines, though, moving in once more. Creep not quite far out enough yet, but looks like Serral is gonna be able to hold on. Second factory going down, together with an armory inside of the main base. 2-2 should start up pretty quickly here as well. It's already begun, though, here for Serral. We should see the +2 melee, and there it is. It means that his upgrades are going to be really nice. If he wants to continue onwards and go straight into 3-3, he needs to start up an infestation pit right about right now. It is important to note, by the way, that this series was played on the fixed version of StarCraft 2. So the current, well, latter version of the game is bugged. Obviously, this is a tournament series from HomeStory Cup. And because of that, we're playing the fixed version of the game. The unbugged version. Marine drop coming in on the right side. Push as well happening on the left side, potentially, though. Nice movement here with those Widow Mines. This attack, I mean, there's a little bit of creep in this direction now. It is spotted by Serral. Widow Mines in the front. Ooh. Serral decides to manually detonate Banes on top of it. Push in the main base, also getting cleaned up. Nice pickup, though, by Clem. Saves at least the majority of the Marines, except for Jimmy. Yeah, screw that guy. Impressive movement here by Serral, not really taking a lot of damage, but at the same time, this is also not quite the setup that you're really looking for here as Zerg. Preferably, you're sitting at like at least another 15 drones. You want to be starting up your hive about now, maybe go into Hydras, maybe into Lurkers. Clem is cruising ahead. Yes, he's a little bit delayed on his upgrades, but since there's no hive, Serral's not going to be able to start up 3-3, and Clem is going to be able to make that transition easily. Now, this movement over here has been good, though, once more, by the Zerg player. Marines go around the site with the queens and the, well, Spore Crawler here inside of the main base. Banelings try to see if they can get some value. Clem is getting some really cost-efficient movement here. As long as Clem does not mess up his micro, which is much easier said than done, he's gonna continuously trade significantly more efficiently than a Zerg. And he's got his ice set on his base. If he can get it, that would be absolutely massive. Serral actually dwindling in supply. Even amount of workers, though, across the board. Reinforcements from the Terran are set up over here. Resources lost-wise, look at that. Already quite a few more minerals lost right here by the Zerg player. Push continues. Couple of queens sleeping on the job for just a little bit. You know what it is about Clem's playstyle? Clem is just so ridiculously quick. Like, rarely do we see the top-level Zerg players being outpaced. Their APM is usually off the charts. But Clem is just faster. Like, that's crazy for me to even say that about Serral, because Serral has always leaned on his speed and just clean execution ever since about 2018. Lovely Bangling detonation right there, by the way. The fact that he found the APM to go out and do so shows that he has the speed, but it's just that Clem seems to be playing a little bit quicker. This is, of course, the matchup where Clem is an absolute superstar. His TVZ has been excellent for a long time. Liberator transition is underway. And this Ling Bane counterattack is the first time that Serral really goes across the map. Last second split arenas over here. Widowmine, though, behind that mineral line. So we do have those insta-heals. Not entirely instant. Middle depot there did not quite get its HP boost. That is the change that we've got. Somehow we're stutter-stepping and engaging in multiple areas at the same time. Zerglings did burrow in the middle of that engagement. +3 starts up right now for Clem. Serral is going into a hive. Ghost Academy on the back of this as well for the French Terran player. Spore Crawler still inside of the main base. Already, though, look at the supply count. Like, yeah, Serral's been holding on. And he's been dealing some damage on the other side of the map. This run by here is really nice. But Clem is progressing faster. He's teching quicker. He's microing better. His economy is better. His macro is cleaner. He's constantly pushing where Serral is not located. Another Ling run by over here, but these Terran units should be able to clean it up. Reinforcing Marines and Marauders come from the natural too. We're just not spotting Clem make a whole lot of mistakes. Shall we go to first-person Clem here for a little bit? Oh, well, never mind. Okay, let's do some first-person view then in game number 2. This is the early game. I promise you first person, okay? Now, I will have to warn you that the pro gamers tend to use camera location hotkeys a lot. And you're gonna see the screen flash as the players are trying their very best. Rally points set up. The early game is so well refined, by the way. One thing to note, and this is such a given at the highest level, but not something that may be entirely obvious if you're like a casual StarCraft fan, or maybe you just haven't really ever paid very close attention to it. Notice how Clem here is microing his SCVs to go onto the close-by mineral fields first. So SCVs, they obviously benefit from shorter travel distances. So it is technically optimal to mine the close-by mineral fields first, up until 16 SCVs, at which point you have 2 for every mineral field anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the first couple really needs to, they really need to be doubled up, and that's exactly what Clem is trying to do here. It makes about a 15 to 20 mineral difference if you do it perfectly. The main problem is if you don't do it perfectly, you run into some issues. One thing, by the way, to note as well, and this is something that Lambo... I'll take control of the camera again, by the way. One thing to note is that Lambo apparently was doing the experimentation at HomeStory Cup. As Zerg players, we have been told, ever since Legacy of the Void came out, that the optimal start is a 13 supply overlord. And everybody has taken this for gospel. Apparently he's been running the numbers, because nobody has done this since like 2016 or so, 2017. Apparently he's been running the numbers, and it may actually be better to go 13, or I think it's an extractor trick at 15. So rather than 13 overlord, you go extractor trick 15. I thought that the early game of StarCraft 2 was basically perfectly figured out, but there are still, I'm talking literal, like single-digit mineral refinements being figured out here, and all of it obviously does sound pretty silly in isolation. But little things like mineral stacking for the very first SCVs that you make, and maybe going for an extractor trick overlord a little bit quicker, all of it does really add up. Mostly in the early game, I guess, for Zerg, for example, with the timing of the third. Serral decides to go for what seems to be the forward third right here on ley lines. Not usually the one that we see, and apparently it's mostly a distraction. He loses the drone, but he does sneak away another worker towards this expansion here. In the triangle location, Clem is gonna... Ooh, not quite see this yet. He'll see it, though, soon enough, I'm sure. He's dancing. He wants to deny the creep tumor. Yeah, now he sees it. This is, by the way, Serral is extremely good in Terran versus Zerg against basically any Terran. He's just very specifically losing against Clem. It seems like Clem has put all of his, like, you know, all of his tech points into countering Serral specifically. Like, all of his skill points when he levels up are put into countering Serral. Like, Clem is... he's specialized. Well, he's specialized in killing Zerg, but especially the Serral-esque style. It's something he has historically never had a lot of success against, but this last, like, 12 months or so, maybe the last 6 months or so, they have been insanely good. It turns out when you specifically learn to counter Serral, you learn to specifically counter every Zerg. And a lot of that difference can be noticed in the early game. I actually have some replays as well from Serral going up against Maru. Same tournament. And the early game is very different. So if you're interested in checking those out, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get notified as soon as that goes live. I will certainly be casting that series. I mean, I can't not cast a Serral versus Maru series. That's too good. Hit the like button too, by the way, while you're at it. Thank you very much. It is certainly noticeable. Notice the early game aggression from Clem. Here we go again with Hellions. He's looking for some of those workers early on. This is a different build, by the way, from Serral. So rather than opening up quick Zergling speed, he's gone for a delayed gas geyser. And he's decided to go into a much quicker Roach Warren here. So in the previous game, he didn't make any Roaches. Therefore, it would always be quicker. But this is a really fast early game Roach Warren. Clem has decided to go good old triple CC 111. Hellions drive by. Clem realizes there's no link speed. He's noticed the timing of the gas. Tries to get a couple workers again. Nothing all too significant. But the grand total is now a Spore Crawler and 4 of those drones for really only a single Hellion. The Reaper does not really matter that much anymore at this point in the game. The problem is when Roaches are out, like this is a moment where Serral can still be aggressive, but as soon as the Banshee hits the battlefield, which is right about right now, there's the second one actually. This is the first one going across the map. The second one will be available in a moment. Clem will have full map control. Let's see. This is a good one, though, by Serral. Sneaking those Roaches around the site, Clem did not realize that they were moving across. He only has Hellions to deal with this. In the past, when you would go up against a Roach Bush in the previous version of StarCraft 2, in the previous patch, you would make a couple Cyclones, and the Roach opener would be nullified. Now, that is a lovely little bit of control right there by Clem. Shutting down those Roaches with a surround. He sends the SCVs back because he doesn't want to lose too much mining time. Second, Banshee also came back home. Imagine, though, if that first Banshee stayed at home. Clem would have shut down those units with ease. And those Roaches would have essentially been donations. Serral taking a massive coin flip here. And it lands in his favor, but it is something that is very dangerous. And it's not the type of strategy that Clem is likely to take significant amounts of damage from again. Serral's very good at choosing the build orders that he wants to play. Generally speaking, he has like little plays that he does only against specific opponents and strategies that he usually doesn't favor too much, but he brings them out at the correct time. He's very good at specifically choosing the builds that he wants to play for a series. That was a risky play right there by Serral. Something that historically he's never really done. Not really a gambler. But it seems like he's feeling the need to go ahead and do so. Look at the timing of this Hive, by the way. This is like a 6-minute and 10-second Hive. Extremely quick. Rushing straight towards those tier 3 units. Or at the very least, the tier 3 upgrades. Link speed is coming up. Roach speed is coming up. We have a single evolution chamber. So only armor research right here for Serral. It means that units like, for example, Ultralisks would be an option, and it seems like that's the direction we're headed. Lingbane Ultra. Second factory coming up in the meantime right here for Clem. We should see a 4th command center momentarily, as this is barracks 4 and 5 over here. Roach is now at the front. Really nice at pushing away those Terran units. You can see that that Roach risk from earlier, though, is now paying its dividends, right? Like, Serral is in a really comfortable position here. 79 workers, getting extremely quick tech. His economy is booming, and he's not really at any risk of dying here. As a Terran player, like obviously one of the most popular builds that Serral has struggled against in the past would be like a triple command center 8 Rex. But you can't really play 8 Rex against roaches. You just get overwhelmed very quickly. So there's the fourth command center. I mean, Clem in general is not really an 8 Rexer. He mixes it in every once in a while, but he decides to go for a 4th command center, and we'll probably see Barracks 6, 7, and 8 and a Ghost Academy on the back of this. Adrenal glands coming up. Push over here gets, well, pushed away. 2 Vipers on the production tab. We've got ourselves the Adrenal glands upgrade coming. Serral is cruising, but this is still a scary attack, though, coming up right here by the Terran player, who decides to siege up the tanks on the high ground. 4th command center is going to likely move on over in that direction. Clem is inviting Serral here to a little party, but the party involved banelings. He was hoping that the roaches were going to chase him down within the range right here of those tanks, but it looks like that's not going to be an invitation that Serral will take. Okay, never mind. He does take it. He now realizes the party that he was invited to, man. Ay, ay, ay. Ultralisk Cavern, coming up. Ultralisk, by the way, are once more back to their original size. Oh, Vipers available. Are we gonna abduct the tanks? Yes, sir. Yoink. Yoink. All of them are gonna go down. Ultralisks are back to their original size, as they used to be once upon a time. And every time they're on the screen, I get a little bit surprised. Nice kill right there, by the way, by Clem. Getting that newly made hatchery over at the 5th base. Whilst distracting the army on the right, he did pull a quick one right over there on the left. Ultras now also push their units around, however, so they're not as likely to get stuck on, well, for example, Zerglings and Banelings and Roaches and all the rest of it. It means that, like, a Roach into Ultra build is a lot more viable. The size increase, though, is a very significant nerf. It's something that they kind of just snuck in. But, yeah. I really... Thinking about it a little bit more, I really don't love it. There's the Ghost Academy coming up. Chitinous plating on the production tab. Push over here down south. +2/+2, just about to finish up right here. Maybe we can switch to some Serral first-person view here. So this is what Serral is looking at whilst playing the game. Playing with the Abathur announcer, apparently. Planetary Fortress up north is morphing in, but he spots it as it's not quite yet done. Splitting up his units over here. Chasing this down as well. Zergling run by. Gonna get cleaned up eventually by Clem. Push over here on the left side too. Yeah, it is smooth, man. Ay, ay, ay. Like most of us play StarCraft 2 in panic mode. I'll take control of the camera again. But these guys are preparing and anticipating movement. Rather than reacting to movement, as the cancel right there is forced on the CC. They're already set up for that sort of play. Like, when I play StarCraft, it's more like, ha, ha, ha. Like, that's what it looks like when I play. It's a little bit of a different vibe. Ultras are coming. They don't have chitinous plating yet, but it's just seconds away from finishing. +3 armor is also coming up, significantly before Clem, because he hasn't yet started up 2-2, or he hasn't yet started up 3-3, rather. He's finished up 2-2 a little while ago. There's the big boy Ultras. Blinding Cloud is going to shut down those siege tanks. Okay. Marines are gonna get pushed away over here. And at this point, there's no easy counter yet for Clem against those Ultras. He forgot about his upgrades. Not having those upgrades is huge. Clem really needs to get those going here ASAP, because against +2, +3, and soon to be 3-3 Zerg, he's gonna fall very significantly behind. +2 Marauders just don't deal with fully upgraded Ultralisks very well. Clem making mistakes. Small ones. But it's all that Serral really needs. Siege tanks over here finally get cleaned up. Here's those Banshees from the early game, by the way. I think Banshees are actually very undervalued right now. What's interesting about these is that, like, with the Roach openers that seem to be gaining a lot of popularity, Banshees are actually insanely good. They're like mini oracles, you know? In my mind, they're kind of like oracles against Zerg. If you keep the Banshees around, since there's basically no anti-air for Zerg, Right, maybe eventually we can see Hydras or maybe Corruptors or something like that. But until those units are out, which is not what Serral's going for here at all, really only Parasitic Bomb is your main concern. But if Zerk is using energy from the Viper on a unit that you made at the 4-minute mark, I mean, that is a perfect trade for Clem. So keeping those Banshees around, I think we're going to see a lot more refinement when it comes to that over the next couple of months. Push over here is going to get denied. Drop over here also no longer seen. Well, apparently the units... God, this looks warm over here. But right next to that laser in the top left-hand section of the map. Parasitic Bomb on the Medevac. Good splitty right there by Clem, who's still maxed out. You realized, by the way, a little bit ago that 3-3 was indeed late. Good thing that he decided to check back. There's those Banshees. Man, I'm telling you, those Banshees are kings. Or queens, I guess. They're so important. Clem has had a lot of control on the battlefield because of it. He can't really do, like Serral that is, a full-on attack. I mean, obviously the Banshees only deal a limited amount of damage, but it is dangerous, man. They just chip away at Zerglings, Banelings, Ultras, whatever they can hit. Really nice to keep them around. Second starport coming up. 4 command centers on the production tab. Now the main change for late game TVZ is the supply increase of the Ghost. So the Ghost is now 3 supply rather than 4. I don't really like that solution, if I'm being honest. Like, it seems very cheap as far as, like, solutions for the Ghost goes. Very blunt, you know? Very little adjustment, actually. I think 3 supply also, like, I don't know. The more I think about it, I don't really like 3 supply that much. But anyways, it means that any Ghost you make right now is about 50% more expensive in supply. And it really is significant. How many Ghosts do we have right now? We have 4. There's another one coming up, but Clem is already maxed out. I think I would have preferred seeing an adjustment to Snipe and EMP, if I'm being honest with you, but anyways. Now, despite having a pretty rough early game here, Clem has still managed to maneuver this match into a situation that's very playable. We have a Fusion Core coming up, high-sec auto-tracking. These are the type of things that you buy when you're a Terran millionaire, right? Like, that's the type of stuff you buy when you're very comfortable in your current macro and the amount of resources that you have. These are the luxury upgrades. So building armor, additional range for planetaries and missile turrets. And then we have the Fusion Core for Liberator transitions. Ultimately, Clem really wants to go into that Liberator Ghost unit composition. But this has not been the smoothest transition. Now, he's very good at making that call. A lot of Terran players out there will transition too quickly or too late. Despite seeing quick Ultras, Clem did not panic and do it too quickly. This is a potential attack right over here, though. Okay, a couple of the siege tanks go down. Ghost in a little bit of trouble, but the Ultralists are running dangerously low, and this medevac drop is actually going to shut them down. The big boy Ultras, they will not be able to go home. Serral, in the meantime, going Lurker Den. Ranged for yeah, he's going all upgrades right here. For the Hydras, we have that new nanomuscular swell research as well. Queued up. Caster Flex. Anyways, it's the lunge ability for the Hydra. One of the strangest names for an upgrade I've ever seen, but apparently that's what it's called. Planetary here in a little bit of trouble. Planetary is now at -1 armor than what they used to be before the patch. And it means that those Zerglings are going to have an easy job with the Banes. 17 SCVs go down. Clem's attention was split to the front. This is Clem's first-person view. Notice how he's selecting the barracks while he's looking away and splitting these units. He's inviting the Zerg army into the insane amount of siege tanks here. Serral wants to clean it up, and it looks like he is going to clean it up, but this is looking very costly. A couple of Baals will connect right there with the Liberator. I'm actually a little low on gas. Really needs to make sure he gets that rich gas geyser going, or at least another expansion here ASAP. A lot of units apparently found stuck inside of the main base. He was wondering where his reinforcements were. Turns out they were hanging out right over there. Forced to spend some attention right now at home. Infestors are coming, though. And that's going to give Serral an opportunity to fungal down some of those units. A whole lot of changelings. Not quite as many as Rogue would be making right now, but there is no denying that they could be sneaking in. Blinding Cloud is going to shut down the siege tank. This position over here, though, has been one that Clem took control of. Wonderful split right there on the medevac once more. Medevac upgrade, by the way, is coming up. Another one of those millionaire mineral type of situation. Or mineral millionaire? That's better. Mineral millionaire is a new coin I would like, or a new term I would like to coin here. Anyways, we have a Nidus Worm now inside of the main base, and this is a super annoying one for Clem to clean up. The only way he can really do it is with Liberators. In the meantime, he is killing a base as well in the top left-hand corner, and that is a lot of damage being done. Liberators are coming in. Scans are basically infinite at this point in the game. Planetary Fortress over here, left by itself. -1 armor, kicking in once more. It looks like eventually the Zerg army will be... Yeah, it will be killed. And you know what? Even though that was a nice, haha, gotcha now type of play from Serral, it was actually one that I think he should have not gone for. That was still a relatively easy cleanup right there for Clem. There was not really that much counterattack damage, although I guess the planetary fell, but we should have quite a few expansions ready to go here. And in the meantime, Serral did lose that expansion in the top left. 18 drones going down is also a lot. Now he's already replaced them again. 87 workers in total here available for the finisher. Ghost in the back. Yeah, and Clem actually does create a chokehold on this base too. By the way, this is a Terran player who's maxed out as far as the supply count goes. And it really does seem like there's just not that much, right? Like there's little clumps of Terran all over, but you can really see the Ghost nerf in effect. There's just not that many units. Anyways, Infestors are sharking around the map. Obviously, Clem could also be giving up some of his SCVs to create some more supply. Fungal growth could be massive here. Serral's hunting down all of those ghosts. If you can get one fungal of them and follow it up with Ling Bane, that could be massive. Liberators in the meantime at the bottom right-hand corner. No Corruptors anywhere. You know, Zergling's gonna run over, but Serral did not quite check what units were actually there. Hydras will ultimately be able to finish this job. Clem is such a bully sometimes. Serral has been under so much pressure this particular game that he doesn't really have the luxury to make that mass overseer style that we have been seeing from the Korean Zergs. Rogue is very fond of it, but Rogue also mostly plays against Terran players who just sort of sit there behind their walls of planetaries and all of the structures. Clem is just constantly out on the map, getting so much value here. Whew. Look at the resources lost at this point, heavily in favor of the Terran player. And Clem is just so freaking good when it comes to this sort of active movement around the map. Bailing run by at least attempted in the top left-hand corner. Push out the front is still going on though. Liberators in the bottom right-hand corner in a little bit of trouble. Looks like the siege tank managed to secure some additional kills. It's now got 17 in total. Okay. Serral will be able to stabilize here eventually, I'm sure, but the losses are already adding up. He's once more going for a Zergling run-by, and he is denying an expansion. But at this point, Clem is maxed out. Serral's bank has been fully depleted, and Serral's only at 153. The economy is here for Terran still. It's not like he's really lost that many of his SCVs. Any SCVs lost, he can be replaced. Well, he can just replace them immediately with mules. This is an overextension, though, by Clem. Losing a bunch of his troops. Concussive shells, by the way, finishing up at 21 minutes into the game. Lurker run by up north. Lurker run by to the base south of it. At least the expansion over here is still going. Serral resecuring the base as well in the top left. Now forced to make a transition towards Hydra Lurker, but this is looking like one of those situations where Serral had a booming start at the very beginning, and then he slowly fizzled out. Going Roach, actually. He started with Roach. Roach into Lingbane Ultra, into Hydra Lingbane Lurker, Viper, like he's been making everything. There's not one unit composition that's gonna be able to deal with all of it. And, well, there it is. Clem, despite having a rocky start, dominates game number 2. Next up, we find ourselves on Abyssal Reef. The speed at which these two guys play, huh? It really is quite ridiculous. Casual 4 to 500-ish average actions per minute. Of course, there's a little bit of inflated APM because of the way that the hotkeying in StarCraft 2 works, but there's no denying that these guys are fast. Yeah, that's my general advice. If you're trying to get better at StarCraft 2, try playing faster. Have you tried playing quicker and better? Honestly, that's great advice for real life in general. Any mistakes you make, try to not make those. Do things more, faster, quicker, better. Stronger, faster, better. Okay, anyways. This is going to be a pool first build right here from Serral. We do find ourselves on good old Abyssal Reef. This is the beauty of StarCraft, though. In my mind, this is almost like the pinnacle of StarCraft. I know I'm a massive StarCraft fanboy, and I can, you know, I feel like that's no secret, but I sometimes watch, like, say, for example, like, Age of Empires esports, and it's good, but it's no Zerg versus Terran at the highest level. Am I crazy right now? Like, the speed of the game, I mean, it's obviously very different. StarCraft is very much so execution-based. In the strictest sense of the word, it's a real-time strategy game, but in StarCraft 2, it's more real-time than actual strategy, right? Like, a lot of it is very fast execution and having better mechanics than the opponents, but when players have pretty much perfect mechanics, like Serral, like Clem, there's very little to argue. It is a very beautiful game to watch. Okay, let's take control of the camera again. I'm quite used to looking at first-person view, but it's also really nice, actually, to watch the players play in person. If you ever have a chance to go to a StarCraft tournament, I do recommend it. Watching the first-person view does hit differently. It's especially fun when the players are just casually hanging out and playing some games. Commonly, they're sitting at a tournament, they will be playing games while having full-on conversations with other people, not wearing headphones, just hanging out, playing at 500 APM. Especially these two are impressive to see. Raynor is obviously another person who is exceptionally quick. Circling run by at least possible on the other side of the map, but there's already a Reaper waiting here. So I guess Serral is okay with this, still working out. Saves at least the majority of the drones. Another Queen pops, and that means that this Reaper opener here from Clem is gonna fall flat on its face. He's decided to go for a double Rex opener. This is a build that we see from time to time. Not nearly as popular right now as it used to be like a half year ago, but it's very map dependent. Apparently Clem is happy to play it right here on Abyssal Reef. They're playing a little dance over here too. Oh, Clem did actually not see that. He brought a second drone. That's so funny. He tried to get that Reaper to chase the second drone so the first drone could come in and actually get the base started. Now the Queen itself is actually blocking the expansion. Nice snipe right here by Clem. Boops it away, and ultimately the expansion goes down, but my god, Serral already had to fight for it. And you know what? This Queen, oh, if he can get the kill on the Queen, that would be absolutely massive. No link speed, obviously, with this type of opener. Oh, 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 oh. Oh my god! See ya, Brenda! You have to take it one step further. If you're like, say like you're a StarCraft enthusiast and you've made your way to like, say like, I don't know, Gold League or so, and you've been playing the game for some time, Clem will probably win with the first Reapers. Like, he will literally kill you with 3 Reapers. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you open up like pool and really quick Zergling speed, but you could literally lose to Clem's first 3 Reapers if you do a semblance of a normal Zerg early game. It sounds silly, but the amount of value you can get out of just a handful of troops is very impressive. Lovely grenade. Oh, it's so mean. Now he's trying to decide which way the Zerglings are gonna go. He wants to get this Reaper home. Yeah, it goes home. I mean, it needs to run a little further though. No, it's fine, it's fine. Alright, Stimpec is going to finish up right now. This is a follow-up right now with good old 16 Marine. Well, yeah, is there 16 Marines in total? No, there's 15 actually. One of the slots apparently taken up by the Reaper. Ah, there's the Reaper. Gets to hang out in the plane for a little bit too. So this is a Marine drop on the back of this with Stimpeg. Normal timing of this, if you go without the Reapers and without the third CC, is usually 5:10. At least that used to be the time back in the day. Now Clem is hitting about 20 seconds later than that, 5:30. But he has a third command center and he started the game off with a Reaper build. And this is hitting like a truck. Yeah. Still though, there's no Hellions running by in this particular game. And while we did see a Queen going down, this has not been a free early game here for Clem either. The nice thing about these sort of Marine follow-ups for Zerg is that there's no Hellions to really be worried about, and it means that the creep spread usually gets a bit better. Now I say that. Oh, this is a meat grinder and a half. Oy, oy, oy. That's a lot of links going down. Oh, he's picking up the weakened Marines and dropping them behind the back. Another Queen falls. Oh. I've got nerd chills all over my body, Clem. Oh. Jeez Louise. Ah, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. What was I saying? I completely forgot my train of thought there. Oh, right. Usually, when there's no Hellions in the early game, it means that Zerg creep spread gets out of control. It's one of the reasons why Terrans really like opening Hellions, because you can keep that creep spread relatively contained. Look at this. Creep spread is absolute garbage. Or as they say in France, because, you know, he's French, right? Garbage. No, actually, that's not. Okay, we have a bailing attempt, at least on the right side of the map. This is Serral hoping, praying, crossing his fingers and his toes that Terran's not paying attention as those units roll in. Siege tank follow-up right now here by Clem. Here go the Banelings. Here go the Banelings. Here go the Banelings. Clem. Oh, he sees it. Yeah. Can I oh, hold up. Let's back up for a second. This is when the Banelings start rolling. I want to see from like Clem's point of view. So all he has is a little marker over here on the minimap, right? Like that's all he does. Let's see how long it takes him before he realizes this goes in.
Your forces are under attack.
Banelings are visible now. Okay. All right. That's the type of stuff, though, that can lose you the game. You may be extremely far ahead, but if you're not paying extremely close attention... And that's another one of those skills that is hard to highlight. But the minimap is like what? Like 5% of the screen? It is not easy to actually keep an eye out on that minimap. Oh, that's a mistake. Obviously, it's a contrasting color, right? So you can set up the colors in StarCraft 2 to be whatever you want it to be. So obviously, Clem, I am imagining that the opponent is red, but it could be any color that he wants. He can spot it relatively quickly. A minimap awareness is something that you learn over the course of time, but... This is like Formula 1 level, like reaction speeds, you know? Because not only do you have to see it, you also have to actually react to it. And it's not just reacting to it, you have to make the decision as to where you pull the SCVs. So Clem boxed the units, hit F2 on the keyboard to go to the natural expansion camera location control group, and then pulled the workers in that direction. You could just pull them, you know, you could react and then pull them in the direction of the Banes. Suboptimal, but it's these little decisions that do make all the difference. Target fires down a couple Banelings before he picks up inside of the Medevac. These are dangerous strategies that Clem is going for. It's the type of stuff that can fall flat on its face, but when it goes well, you look like a god. You don't even look human anymore. Couple of Banelings here on the ground. Serral saw it in time, blew them up. Yeah, I've not seen anybody ever make Serral look like this. Not since Serral first became a god at StarCraft, like back in 2018. By the way, with this particular match now, Clem is 10-0 in maps against Serral. Like 10-0 in a row. At least if you take into consideration EWC before this too. In the meantime, 4th Command Center is going. Armory is done. 2-2 is going. Everything's Yeah, it's on rails. Like, you know, proper rails, not like the Deutsche Bahn. I heard a lot of complaining about the Deutsche Bahn at HomeStory Cup. This is, you know, actual efficient train networks. Push over here in the middle of the map as well, though. Clem tries to keep all of this going. Hello, Mr. Shark. Jeez, you're good. Huge, massive shark goes down right over there. GG gets cold. It's Clem who wins this map as well. Actually, you know what? I just realized I thought I only had one of the two best of fives that these two played at HomeStory Cup. I just realized that I have both of the best of fives in this very early version of the replay pack included. They were just in a different folder. You know what? I'll try out something new. Rather than casting them as two separate best of fives, let's just look at all of the maps that these two played at HomeStory Cup in one giant video. The fourth game, we find ourselves on Amygdala. I'm gonna be combining wins and losses. I'll just cast games until I run out of Serral versus Clem. Is this a good idea? Maybe not. Because I believe that this is gonna be exceptionally long, but we'll see. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. I've been casting games on YouTube for a very long time. I normally don't do this sort of thing, but maybe it works great. Maybe people love, like, a 2-hour-long video. I feel like it's probably not a good idea, but yeah. A little bit of experimentation, even in 2024, after all these years of casting. Maybe it is a good idea. I mean, to be fair, this is basically the pinnacle of Zerg versus Terran right now. It really doesn't get much better than these two playing against each other. So I'm imagining if you enjoyed the first best of 5, you would also enjoy the second best of 5. It's just that I may scare people away by uploading, like, you know, a 2-hour-long video, or however long this is going to be. It's probably going to be like 2 hours. Anyways, apparently a lot of people watch my videos anyways while they're asleep. They just put on my voice in the background, and I'm just making noises. Apparently, yeah, people like to watch my videos like they like to watch Bob Ross. No way, Loco, I would never do that. Okay, sure. Hey, so if you do like this sort of thing, please do me the favor of hitting the like button. It really is helpful. Amygdala, by the way, is the map that got adjusted a little bit from the PTR to the live version of the game with tentacle rocks. I don't know why they're so long. Like, I know it's not the length of the tentacle, but these are very tentacly. Yeah. Anyways. Fun fact, you could build a creep tumor right next to those tentacle rocks, and they will stop bleeding out. So the entire concept behind those rocks, they're at the bottom as well as at the top. At the 8-minute mark, they have lost all their HP because they're Zerg units off creep. And, well, as Zerg units off creep, they can only live for so long. I did get myself some more coffee, by the way, because obviously a 2-hour cast, or however long this is going to be, is also, you know, not just for the pro gamers, it'd be energy specific. Oh, I love the grenade there. I also need my, you know, I need my continued caffeine over here. I actually got back yesterday morning from HomeStory Cup. And I think like two nights back to back, I slept like 4 hours. It was bad. I did not sleep well this time around. So I slept like 9 hours last night. It was glorious. I went to bed at like 10, woke up at like 7, didn't wake up, and like I was just out. I had my alarm set. I wonder how long I would have slept if it wasn't for the alarm. Anyways, my old 32-year-old body is apparently also no longer enjoying the 4-hour back-to-back nights. One day we may see a Zerg player going for a proxy hatchery right over here, and then put down a creep tumor right over there, right? Or maybe you could do like a quick Overlord Queen drop rush and keep these rocks, the debris right over here alive. I can't come up with any gameplay implications, but I'm looking forward to the one game where it happens. Can you transfuse the rocks? I would imagine you can't transfuse rocks, but tentacles are biological. Do the debris over here have an armor tag? Are they biological? If anybody can come up with a strategy where keeping the rocks alive is useful, please let me know. I've been thinking about this for a couple days. I can't come up with anything. It seems really dumb. But an actual genuine strategy that you want to keep the rocks alive for would be kind of amazing. It's going to be a lair on the back of this, of course, for Serral. He's opening up with quick baneling speed, not going into the quick double upgrades, but straight baneling speed here instead. And in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we've got ourselves, well, a pretty normal follow-up as well, right? It's once more going to be Marines, together with Medevacs, just like what we just saw on good old Abyssal Reef. Yeah, I guess the easiest way to delay the rocks from dying is just putting an Overlord over here. Like, you could actually just put an Overlord right over here and drop creep. And it would probably, like, I'm assuming it only needs to touch, like, a little square over here. And it would probably keep the rest of the rocks alive, too. Again, I'm not sure about the gameplay implication, but... thought for a second there were more tentacles, but these are just cables. When you think about it, cables are basically... Anyways. Marine drop up north. Serral's running the Queens on over here in this direction. But it's not going to be in time. My main concern, by the way, with the new hatchery cost, they're now 275 minerals compared to 300, is that when you cancel one, you get 207 minerals back. I hate it. Yeah, I don't... Like, it says plus 207 on the hatchery when you cancel it. I don't like it at all. Now, how did Serral go back to a rounded number? What did Serral do to get back to a rounded number of minerals? Man, so many mysteries. So many questions. Oh, is this an Adrex? It is a good old Adrex right here by Clem. This is very out of character. Clem is not really somebody who is a fan of the Adrex, but he must have watched at HomeStory Cup too. Like, for example, we saw some great success from players like Hero Marine. Hero Marine is a big fan of the Adrex. He certainly made some of the Zerg players look pretty easy. And it's not really something that Serral is likely to expect. Now, Roach Openers can shut this sort of thing down with relative ease. This is a Lingbane opener right here for Serral. It's Lingbane Hydra, actually. It's all about seeing that this attack is coming and then stopping it in its tracks. So basically what Terran here is doing is delaying the 4th command center for a long time. They're doing it in favor of additional unit production. Clem is adding on the add-ons here, so it's not 100% committed or whatever. But yeah, 2-2 is obviously going to fire up too, so he can transition away from it, but his economy is going to take a hit. Serral, though, has not really overdroned. He is making another expansion in the far bottom right too. And the rough part is, on this map, you only have really 2 attack paths, even with the rocks bleeding out. You only really have 2 attack paths that you can easily maneuver, so even killing this base is not that big of a deal here for Serral. Oh, he decides to keep it alive. He's thinking about it. At least he, well, loses the base here, but is there enough for the Zerg player to actually clean this up? I would imagine so. Good maneuvering right here, though, by Clem. Targets the banelings down for the most part, and he actually keeps that clump of Marines on the ground, tells them to just stand firm over there, and he wins the engagement. Yeah, Clem is butchering. This is just good old Terran butchery here. 4th command center finally starts up 8 minutes into the game. I have never seen Serral getting played like this. I mean, other than earlier this year at EWC by Clem. But yeah, it's not like Serral's playing poorly either. Like, Serral's playing really good. But he's just not quite capable of going toe-to-toe with Clem when he plays like this. And I'm not really sure exactly what you do differently. Like, we do sometimes see Clem lose to, for example, a Dark, or maybe, for example, a Shin. But a lot of those games are played... Oh, okay, well, never mind. I'll get to it in a sec. Next up is Ultra Love. So, what I was trying to say... We do sometimes see Clem lose against some of the Korean Zerg players, but... most of those games are played in online tournaments, and a lot of those online tournaments, they are played on the American server. right? Meaning that you do get a significant amount of ping. Now, I don't want to use that as an excuse for Clem, but it can certainly explain some of the losses. A lot of the decision making is extremely thin, right? You have so much, like so little time rather, that if you delay any of your actions by 0.1 or 0.2 seconds, which is basically what the ping amounts to, it can really have a significant impact on the results. Now, it seems like Clem has just solved Terran versus Zerg. To be fair though, Serral has been dominating for such a long time that yes, they've been nerfing Zerg, but effectively what the Balance Council has been trying to do is nerf Serral. It seems like basically all the nerfs that we've had over even the last 5 years, they've been effectively nerfing Serral. All of the changes, man. Like, if Serral was playing right now with the Queen from 2018, aka the year where Serral really stood up and was head and shoulders above everybody else, if he had that version of the Queen right now, I think he would be fine. Like, so many of the changes are significant. Also, like, for example, the Baneling nerf. Banelings used to have 5 additional HP. So many changes that just made Zerg across the board, specifically Serral's playstyle, a little bit weaker here, a little bit weaker there. And yeah, it's all culminated to this. Clem is just playing like a monster, though. Incredible. I'm trying to think when's the last time I've seen Clem lose against Zerg. When's the last time we've seen Clem lose against Zerg in a high-profile match? I don't even remember. Yeah, so he obviously plays in a lot of online cups. So I'm not really thinking about those so much, because the online cups, I mean, yeah, they're important, and obviously they do take them serious, but it's a little bit different. Right? When you're playing for thousands, or in the case of, well, in the case of EWC, I was going to say hundreds of thousands, but they were actually playing for $1 million. Like, the vibe is a little different, you know? When you're playing for 400 bucks, you do take it a little bit less serious than when you're playing for the lion's share of $1 million, right? Like, it's a bit different. Anyways. Clem has been just on another level, specifically for TVZ. It's tricky, though, because if you look at, like, Serral going up against other Terran players, he seems to destroy them. Yeah, I think I saw Clem lose in that long game. I think this was on post-youth against Rogue. Am I misremembering, or am I correct? When Rogue first started playing that Mass Overseer, Mass Nidus style, that seems to be the type of stuff that Clem can lose to, but at the same time, I think that was also, well, the very first time that Clem was playing against that Mass style, that Mass Overseer, Mass Nidus approach. There is a bit of a weakness, I guess, when it comes to defending against the Nidus worms inside of the main base. But those are all very preventable losses too. It's something that Clem can actually just, well, learn to play against. It's not, you know, something he's really gonna struggle against if he keeps the ball going. Anyways, enough blabbering. 3.5 minutes. Roach Warren's already finishing up. We don't have a link speed here. Serral is opening up quick roaches, but he's going up against the Banshee build. This is triple CC Banshee. With the new patch, of course, Terran and, well, most of the other changes, they're all relatively insignificant, but one really nice thing for the Terran players that Protoss and Zergs don't have is that their early game is mostly unchanged. Nice grenade. Whereas Protoss in particular, but also Zerg, they have to reinvent the early game meta quite a bit. It seems that Terran can just play the exact same builds that they have been playing over the last couple of years, and that does have an impact. Gotta take it with a grain of salt. Roach is going across. Where is that first Banshee going? This is what we saw in the first game as well. Or in the first game where Serral decided to open roaches. That Banshee now has to go immediately back home. How much damage can Serral do with this attack this time around? Okay, a significant amount. Yeah, a significant amount. But again, this is a gamble, man. Like, if this first Banshee was not rallied straight towards the third base of the Zerg player, but instead it was rallied a little bit closer to the main attack path, If that Banshee was capable of chipping away at those roaches before they arrived inside of the Terran's natural, the majority of those SCV losses could have been prevented. So like, yeah, we see Clem making mistakes, but all of them are very preventable. I think sometimes he gets a little bit over-eager with the aggression. All he really needed to do is, rather than rally that starport straight towards the third, of the Zerg player that is, rally it over here first, and then rally it across, right? Like, he would have found that this push here from Serral would have been nullified. Now Serral's finding himself in a nice advantage, much like the previous game where he played Roach Opener. Cloak Banshee, though, still coming in clutch. Keep in mind that the Spore Crawler now deals a lot more early game damage here. The damage here of those spores needs to be respected. And last time when Serral got this good of a start, Clem still won. Hellions try to go around the site. Double Evo Chamber coming up again here for Serral. A little overly ambitious here. Slow Zerglings get a wraparound even. Third Command Center flies on down to the low ground. Now look at the worker count at this point though. Serral already up to full 3-base saturation. He's building the fourth in the far bottom right. Whereas Clem is just now resaturating his natural, and he's gonna start producing some of those workers here over at the third base. Bit of a supply block actually here for Clem. Uncharacteristic mistake. Yeah. Finding himself with a bit of a block. That's okay. He fired up some additional unit producing structures here. Maybe he didn't quite want to produce barracks 4 and 5 yet, but he's going to be able to get away with it. This is not an opener where Serral is really going to have like a sharp follow-up timing attack. He could go for a push with like Roach Ravager and then 1-1 and speed, but not really particularly common. This is, by the way, a cool little Xel'Naga Tower over here. The Xel'Naga Tower is covered. It is covered by the debris. It is covered by the debris. So you can land, yeah, you can land those units over there if you want to and get some vision. Or a Changeling. Did he not have Stimpak? Whoa, Clem. Okay, Clem is making a bunch of mistakes here. Hitting a supply block. Surprised against the Roach Bush. And then also forgetting Stim. Clem might be human after all. Actually, fun fact. At HomeStory Cup, we were ready for Clem versus Serral. If I'm not mistaken, it was Clem versus Serral. Anyways, Clem went missing. We were already on the main stage. On the main stream for a series that Clem needed to play in. But we couldn't find Clem anywhere. Turns out Clem misunderstood the schedule. And he went out to get some food. Like, we literally couldn't find Clem for like an hour. Clem was just, we didn't know where he was. Apparently he went out to get some food and yeah, he came back at some point. Which is kind of funny in the end. Although it was a little bit weird at the tournament. We're like sitting there. So like Serral requested like a bit of an extended break. He was like, yo, I just got out of another series. Can I like chill for like 15 minutes? And obviously the tournament admin is totally okay with that. If you want to, you know, have an extended break, that's fine. And then it turns out Clem was missing. Like we didn't know, we didn't know where he was. Pretty funny in the end. I picture him just walking back into the building, not realizing what was going on at all. Production was also very quick with it, because production immediately printed out a wanted sign. Like, have you seen this pro gamer? Reward 2,500 minerals. Like, HomeStory Cup production is always on point when it comes to those sort of jokes. Like, rather than, like, obviously production can get very stressed out about those sorts of things, right? When pro gamer goes missing. Like, probably the favorite for the tournament. He goes missing. Where'd he go? Rather than, like, being scared about it, well, maybe they were a little bit worried about it. They immediately jumped onto the meme potential as well. Have you seen this pro gamer with a picture of Clem right underneath? 25 mineral reward if you find him. Very funny. Anyways, he showed up. He showed up eventually. And the tournament could continue. Serral has built his economy up all the way to 88 workers. Clem is coming in, though, with a scary attack here. This time around, he does have Stimpack. 2-2 is on the horizon, but it's not going to be done before Zerk is going to finish up much more important upgrades. Adrenal Glands in particular. His base is in a world of trouble, though. We have Blinding Clouds. Siege tanks are sort of clumped together. Can he get multiples? Okay, he decides to go for the safe Blinding Cloud instead. Wonder if he could have had at least 2 of them there. Marine drop in the meantime in the bottom right-hand corner, too. A little bit of target firing onto the Banes. Push over here is not yet entirely cleaned up. Corrosive Balls are dodged. And Clem looks like he's still going to be able to get this freaking base if he targets it at the very least. I mean, maybe he won't get it now, but... No, he won't get it. He wanted to have the kick... Oh, maybe not? He wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Ugh. Unnecessarily greedy here, man. Clem is styling right now. You've got 3 Marines left over. I mean, it's only 88 HP on the hatch. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Could have had the base. Medevac in the meantime in the bottom right-hand corner, completely empty. Here's the reinforcing Terran unit showing up, though. We actually asked Clem about his food during one of the interviews a little bit later on into the tournament, and he mentioned that he had an excellent schnitzel. Powered by the schnitzel, Clem returned to the venue. So maybe he is a human after all, you know? Because humans usually need calories. Right? Like a biological android. They need to be powered up. I figured we just put Clem in the charger, but... some of these unit controls that he's showing us, it's... kind of glorious. Beautiful place right here, man. Yeah, this hatchery is still toast. He can just right-click it, but he's not doing it. He knows that Serral knows that he can just right-click it. So he's just playing against it a little bit. Looks like we had a run-by, though. 8 SCVs have gone down. But once more, so Serral was so far ahead in the early game of this particular match. Once more, Clem is picking him apart. This was like, what, a 20-worker advantage? Look at that split! Okay, I want you to picture splitting the correct medevac while doing a million things at the same time. Here comes the parabomb in a sec. You have to split the correct medevac, because otherwise you lose all medevacs. It's not rocket science, but see how fast that was? It deals, you know, AoE damage around the medevac. It just seems so casual. It just seems so freaking casual. Base in the bottom right goes down. New command center finishing up at home. Another one gets powered up. Ghosts are now on the production tab. This is not a Clem win yet. But considering he was so far ahead, or so far behind, Serral was very far ahead earlier on in this game. Clem just brings it back and makes it look really good. Medevac drop inside of the main base with some of the leftovers. Here go the Marines once more. I mean, honestly, he should have finished off this base. I think he got a little bit overly greedy. Without that base, Serral is dead. Like, Serral doesn't have income. Aggression over here as well. Eyes are set over here, though. And the Zergling run-by over at the third base of Terran is significant. Can we just right-click the freaking base already? Please. Ah, please. I mean, I guess if you're right-clicking here, you lose your Marines to Banelings. Okay. Liberator is gonna get sniped. Serral, though, is dwindling as far as the supply count goes. Marine drop over here. These Zergling Baneling run-bys are also becoming quite costly. And the problem here for Serral is that he doesn't have anything on the horizon. This is just extended Hydraling Bane. There's an entire base that is now completely unscouted in the far top left. This is Hydraling Bane, though, and there's no lurkers on the horizon. There's nothing else. Whereas Clem is still improving his unit composition. Now he's mixing in Ghosts. He's mixing in Liberators. It's not just Marine Marauder Medevac. GG gets cold. Clem gets another point on the board. Alrighty. Next up, we find ourselves once more on Abyssal Reef. I've decided to fast forward through the first couple games, or the first couple minutes, rather, of the game. A Reaper coming in. Serral is once more trying to secure the third. Last time around, he struggled a little bit getting the third up and running on this map. SCV tried to see if it could block it, but this time around, it did go up. Now, by the way, since I'm actually not casting this as a best of 5, ignore the scoreboard. This is a mix of all of the games that they played at HomeStory Cup all together in one video. It's a little bit different. I guess I can tell you that like we have 8 maps in total. So this is the 6th map, meaning that we might have a strange situation where Serral could win like the final game that I'm casting today, which would be a little bit anticlimactic maybe as like a series, but then again, this is not really an actual series. It's a fake series. Nobody even knows what this is. What do we call this? I don't know. We call this good StarCraft, I guess. Third command center coming up right here for Clem. Going into the good old 1-1-1. Triple CC 1-1-1. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Dude, seeing a 5-0 on the scoreboard is insane. Can I even make it? Like, can I even go past 5? 7? Oh yeah, no, I can keep going. Can I do a... How do I do... No, I'm trying to see if I could go up to 10, but I don't know how I would do 10. This is not a situation you usually run into in StarCraft 2. Usually the longest series you cast is like a best of 9 at the absolute most. So you only really need a 4 on the scoreboard. Hellions coming in. Serral, by the way, of course, playing this game again a hell of a lot. From what I understand, he's been practicing a ton. Just not showing any of his games in any of the online tournaments. Oh my god, Hellions coming in. Clem has realized that this is not a quick Zerking speed opener. Yes, Serral managed to get that thirst base down, but that's because he delayed his gas geyser. And that is a significant amount of damage done right now. 9 drones. Make it 10. 10 drones just like that is absolutely massive. The problem Serral is running into in all of these games that we've seen so far is that in the mid game, he just doesn't get the ball rolling. Never has there been a situation where any of the fights were actually good for Serral. Have there been? Like early on, we've seen some damage done by the Zerg. But that momentum in the mid game is pretty much always in Clem's favor. I don't recall a single fight that I've seen here today that has actually been good for the Zerg. Like, some of them have been cost efficient, some of them have been decent enough, but none of them have been like, wow, that was so good for Serral. Like, all of the fights have been... It seems like it very much so depends on the Terran player making a mistake for the Zerg to have a really good mid-game fight. And most of the time, Zergs can overcome that by having a superior economy. But Clem has figured out how to be very aggressive, take cost-efficient trades, like heavy cost-efficient trades, in his favor. And then simultaneously also have a major economy on the back of it. Second Banshee is coming in right now. There she is. Cloaky cloak. And that's a dead hatchery. Yeah, painful. And this is a bit of a momentum shift here. We do once more have that single Evo chamber. Now, Serral did wall himself in fully over here. Problem with walling yourself fully in over here is that there is no way to get the creep down on the low ground. So you can put a creep tumor over here and then move it down that way. But Clem scans right now. Yeah, perfect. I love this scan. Oh, that scan is hot. I think he could have moved it slightly further to the right because he didn't really need the vision all the way over here. He could have had one more creep tumor, but like, look at the queens. They have to go all the way around. That means that the bases over here are unprotected. Lucky here for Serral, he knows that most of those Hellions died earlier on. So there's no way that they could be driving into the right, but there's literally nothing over here that would protect a run by towards the third. So getting the creep spread going over here again is actually leaving his entire back door incredibly vulnerable. Yeah, he killed 4 Hellions. Now he's basically crossing his fingers, hoping that there's not more. He doesn't know. He can't know. Usually there's only about 6, but... It would be unlikely, I guess, that the Hellions, if there were more than 2, would be split up. And he sees 2, so I guess it's kind of fine. Push over here at the front once more. The Banshees sacrifice themselves, or at least one of them has sacrificed itself to distract the Queens. Queens do come in with a transfusion, but Clem... Man, I feel like I shouldn't even be casting this anymore. This is like watching somebody, a grown man, get bullied. Like every step Serral takes, he needs to take 4 steps back. Ay, 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 ay. Insane. Insane. Like, Serral is genuinely getting schooled. I don't think I've seen Serral get schooled, ever. Utter domination here. Now, Serral did go up to quick height. He is going Vipers right now. He's going +2. We have plus... Like, we have some good things going here. He's retaking the 4th base again. Now his 4th base is later than the Terran's 4th base. Which is all... You know, it's all you really need to know. When you see the Terran's 4th base be quicker than the Zerg's, you know it's been a tough game for the Zerg player. Especially when you open up roaches, man. Like, when you open up roaches, you're really not supposed to take a lot of early game damage. Oh, we're fishing. Please walk into my biles. Matter of fact, drop in the natural expansion. The Zerglings can run in between. I love that positioning right there from the Zerg player. So he's squeezing these 2 structures together on the corner bits, meaning that Lings and Banes can fit. Oh, looks like we had a bit of a pause. Lings and Banes can fit, but our units cannot. Blinding Clouds. This is a lovely set of Blinding Clouds right here for Serral, though. Ooh, a couple of the Marines also walk forward because of those Blinding Clouds. And Serral actually takes a good fight here. In the meantime, the medevac drop over here also gets shut down. Okay. Little bit of breathing room right here. Barracks 6, 7, and 8, though, is finishing up right now. Command Center 4, building a planetary fortress. We should see a 5th base here momentarily. 2-2 finishing up. This is a big attack right now coming in for Clem. Big power spike just about to land. Serral did go for +2 as well, but he only has the armor upgrade. There are Vipers, though, with energy. Oh, Parabomb. Good split there once again by Clem, as to be expected. Push over here. Nothing all too impressive, but it's at least distracting the Zerg. Siege Tank in some trouble. Good Blinding Clouds here again. Great Corrosive Biles. Cool guys don't look at explosions, man. That engagement right there was directed by Michael Bay. Fantastic play by Serral. Oh! A mistake! Clem move commanded. Clem accidentally move commanded into the Banelings there. And that may shift the wins right now quite significant there. That was like 15 Marines going down. Woo! Alright. That actually shuts down the momentum here of Terran quite a bit. Genuine mistake by Clem there. Something he could have avoided. But when you're playing at this speed for such a long time, sometimes, powered by a schnitzel or not, you can make mistakes. +3/+3 though, significantly ahead right now of the Terrans. Or of the Zergs rather. +2 is coming up here for Zerg, but obviously that single Evo earlier is really slowing Serral down in that department. Who's actually transitioning not towards Ultras, but towards, well, a bunch of Hydras here instead. He's also made an Infestor. So we have Hydra, Infestor, Lingbane, Ravager. This is a very difficult unit composition to control. Blinding Clouds once more go down. Corrosive Biles can land on the Siege Tanks. It takes 3 Biles per tank. Oh, okay. That was about 7 on that one and 2 on that. Here comes Clem again. Dude, where did Clem just get all these units from, man? Didn't he just lose his entire army? He's got more economy than the Zerg. He's got 87 SCVs. Overstimming there. A little bit too much. Zerglings going around the site. Not protected! Fungal growth over there. That means that all these units get cleaned up, and in the meantime, the Lynx destroy the siege tanks. Serral wins another engagement. Back to back. Alright, Clem finally needs to retreat. Serral's thinking about going in. It's a risky play, but it could work out. Yeah, he decides to back off. Ghosts are now coming up. APM-wise, you can see that the game is progressing at a very high pace. Nearly 500 average actions per minute right here for the Zerg. 443 right here for the Terran. Second starport coming up. Ghost production is well underway. This is one of those compositions, though. Nice dodge right there on those Vipers. Well, you don't really need a lot of ghosts. You don't actually want to get carried away making too many ghosts. Some of them is good, but I think we should kind of stop right now, because it's very Lingbane focused. EMP is their main ability right now. Obviously, they also do a lot of damage, though. Clem sometimes likes to tank Baneling hits with his ghosts. Here's another one. There's an Infestor right over here. Fungal growth does connect before the... before the Infestor gave its life. Clem desperately trying to split against those units. And even though we see Serral retreating here, that was a really good fight for him. Not much more Clem can do. 3 fights that go in favor of Serral. Back to back to back. Can he capitalize on it, though? Fusion Core coming up on the back of this now, too, for the Terran player, who's slowly making that transition, despite taking a lot of damage, towards, well, once more, that Liberator Ghost late game. Medevac goes down? Okay. Another Medevac over here, in a little bit of trouble. Sorry, Jimmy. You did not get picked up in time. Because of that, Serral's thinking, yo, you know what I need? Nanomuscular swell, baby. Let's get that speed upgrade, the lunge upgrade coming up. Those Infestors sharking around the map is something we haven't seen in any of the previous games yet. And they are clearly a thorn in Clem's side. Oh, he pre-scanned it. Woo. He predicted. He couldn't know. He predicted that there would be an Infestor there. Okay, good targeting again on the Banes. Most of them are gone. Picks up. Saves the majority of the army. Planetary Fortress finishing up in a second. Clem, absolute monster. Somehow keeps this alive. Nidus Network on the back of this for Serral. Adrenal Glands coming up. Ghosts over here. Take quite a few of the hits, but ultimately they do die. The lunge research will be available in just a moment here for the Zerg player. That means the Hydras can do their little dashing ability. Dashing through the creep. I guess it's the time of the year. Okay. Overseer. This is a man on a mission. Ready to put a worm inside of the opponent's main. Ba-da-dum-bum, ba-da-dum-bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum. Go. Go! This is a spot right here, man. Jimmy is on a hotkey, man. Look at Jimmy using his combat shields and his combat drugs. He's stuck. Hey, what's up, Mr. Fish? All right. Serral setting up a big run-by over on the left side of the map. He is ready to go for, like, triple-pronged aggression. Push at the front, push on the left, and then Nidus in the main base. This is the first one arriving on time. Couple of Banelings. Oh my god. Ghosts are so tanky. What the heck? Did that ghost just tank, like, is it an Archon or a ghost? Jeez Louise. 15 SCVs go down, though. Siege tank over here is gonna fall as well. And that ghost ultimately does die. Push at the front. I mean, it softened up the hatchery quite a bit, but I don't know if there's enough. There's that lunge ability. Serral uses it to get through all of those circles of the Liberators. And he is going to be able to clean them all up pretty easily if Terran does not unsiege. Zerglings have forced the second factory to lift off and deny some production there. This siege tank is not going to live to tell the tale. 22 SCVs go down. Now, this is, of course, at the point where Terran already is starting up the additional CCs. We're at 4 right now. More orbitals will be joining the battlefield soon. Serral's all the way up to 88 drones here. So his economy is pretty good, but apparently he wants a couple more. Gonna go 91 in total. Lurker transition is coming up. Building armor. Coming up very quick. Liberator, though, ready to be annoying. Well done right here by Serral. Doing a phenomenal job. Getting all these engagements going. Now, I can't help but feel, though, that a lot of those engagements, and maybe this is me being a little bit Zerg biased, but for the engagements to go well, it needs to... It seems like it almost requires the Terran player to make a gigantic blunder, right? Like, for example, microing Banelings, or, well, microing Marines into Banelings, which is not really something you want to do, believe it or not. Or, like, for example, what we saw earlier with those fungal growths just not spotted in time. Not predicting where the infestor is going to be moving in from. And that's not really something Zerg can rely on. Like, yeah, you can create chaos and maybe try to force out those sort of plays. Just like this, for example. Push at the front is where Terran is paying attention. And it means that the main base is completely unprotected. Here's another fungal potential. Ooh, he was thinking about it. He's going to get torn apart, though, by those siege tanks. Terran just barely moves back. Liberators are coming back home right now. A little bit of damage done here by the Zerg player. Some of the structures are in trouble, but he decides to get out, which is certainly the right play. Push over here at the front is still going on as well. Clem stands his ground. Gets a snipe on the Viper. Very quick. Very quick gameplay. This command center decides to go back home. Lurker's now in the back. Love the Overseer here to provide high ground vision. Very cool. Another Nidus Worm attempted in the back of the main. And this is where that ghost nerf is once more significant. I'm just looking at a lot of these Terran armies and they just don't seem that big. Like, this is only a relatively small amount of ghosts. But, like, imagine a Terran player going, like, 20 ghosts, what we used to see quite a bit in the previous patch. It just does not seem like the right play at all. It's just too much. You just don't have enough supply to make more units. There's still a good unit to mix in. Maybe it's a good thing, right? Because Banelings moving in. Zerglings are going to be able to finish the job as well on that planetary. A new command center, though, is going to be available. Another one will be built. That was a lot of gas lost right there. Fungal growth is going to go down, but an infestor seems to sacrifice itself. Yep, no way for it to escape. Nice fungal to at least prevent the chase, but... Okay. Let's see. Whoa, the heck? Oh my god! There's a giant freaking shark, man! Why is it so... Okay. That's a big fight happening in the meantime on the right side. Did we not zoom out that far in replays back in 2017 when this map was around? There's a giant shark here somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I just... Oh, found it. I saw it. Okay, there's a fight happening. Can you guys chill for a little bit? I know you guys are non-stop action, but I've got a shark to talk to. Fungal! Big fungal. Big fungal. EMP does go down as well. At least there won't be a follow-up play there, but Serral, okay, takes a good engagement. Does not have detection, so he's forced to run. New expansion here is spotted. Clem, yeah, he's expected it to already be up. Sees that it's only a building hatchery. Couple of lurkers here also coming up. Clem trying to see if he can take the base up north. Serral, though, has a massive bank now compared to the Terran. Yes, the trades have been inefficient, but not as extreme as in the previous games. Here we go. Serral trying to see if he can go in for the killing blow. Push over here on the left as well, just mostly as a distraction. Lings and Banes are rolling into all the SCVs. Another 21 workers down the drain. Yeah. And slowly but surely, Serral is picking Clem apart. This is the Serral we're all used to seeing. Chaos all over the map, extreme multitasking. And finally, he's not just fighting on his side of the map. I feel like every single game so far, the fights have been exclusively on creep, or at least close to the edge of the creep. Now Serral is feeling confident enough to keep the balls and the banelings rolling. Couple abductions here. Blows up more workers. Lunges underneath wherever he can get. I mean, it looks cool. Not sure if it's actually a good ability, but it is enough to force Clem out of the game. And Serral gets a point on the board. Leylines is next. This scoreboard is looking very cursed. It doesn't look right. It doesn't seem correct. But it is. Third hatchery coming up here for Serral, who once more is opting to go for that gasless opener. This has become very popular as of late. Getting that gasless start. Look how far back Serral feels like he needs to place down that creep tumor, man. Jeez Louise. That Reaper was never gonna go from there all the way over there, but Serral felt like it was the right place. That actually reduces creep spread significantly, though. At least the main and the natural are gonna be connected, I suppose. But I don't think you can bring it across. That's too far. So the next tumor probably... Yeah, the next creep tumor... yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's as good as you're gonna... yeah. Ah. Oh my god, don't tell me you're gonna get it. Don't tell me you're gonna get it! Clem is lethal. He smelt the creep tumor. And now... Oh, wow. The queens even attack each other for a little bit. He smelt like this was what was the right call. Roach Warren coming up again. Nice and quickly. Just to try and keep that economy rolling. He needs to at least be safe. Now he could once more go for a bit of an aggressive push, and with a second gas geyser coming up. We have seen 2 games now where Serral opened up quick roaches, sent them across the map, and got significant amounts of damage done. And I felt like both times it was very preventable damage. Couple of Hellions coming in. Trying to see if they can get some sort of work done. Oh. So this is Clem mostly scouting. Little plays like this are undervalued. But say, for example, Serral would be extremely fed up and this was like some sort of crazy lair play or some sort of crazy... Ooh, drones. Oh, this seems a little overly ambitious. Some sort of crazy baneling bust, right? He would see it coming in from a mile away. Okay, you know what? I thought it was overly ambitious. But this is still 8 drones. Ay, ay, ay. Leaving Serral at a meager 69 supply. Pretty good, though, compared to the Terrans. But of course, this is usually when Terran starts, well, producing a lot more stuff. Barracks number 2 and 3 coming up. Third command center just finished. And we will be seeing the Banshee cloaking here finish up in a moment too. Where did the Banshee go? Okay. It's already on the other side of the map. 1 drone. A little bit of lost mining time too. Spore Crawler's coming up. Yes, by the way, so the Spore Crawler is buffed. Spore Crawlers do deal more damage. But if you're making 3 Spore Crawlers, that is 3 drones down as well. Right? It's not even taken into consideration the cost of the spores. The drone itself is the biggest cost by far. And obviously it's not really a mobile detector, so Serral has to go back. Loses a couple creep tumors. Just the Banshee existing is already enough to, yeah, get at least like 4 workers worth of damage. And against roach openers, I'm really liking them. Now once more though. This is now the 3rd time in a row. Oh, I hate this so much. Serral manages to get roaches across the map, even though Banshees are out, because Clem doesn't see it. I feel like you gotta enjoy this while it lasts, because there is about 0% chance that this is gonna work in the future. It only works because Clem is not quite used to playing against this sort of thing. Yeah, so this is, by the way, one of the changes that they've made. I don't know why, but if you drop the supply out of the orbital command onto a depot, it insta-heals the depot. I don't know why. Like, was anybody out there thinking Terran needed more early game defense? It blows my mind how that is a thing that was somehow pushed through the patch notes. It's not really relevant, so I can't really get too upset about it, but it is a little bit of like a fringe buff that I don't think was really necessary. It also is mostly unimpacted. Yeah, it doesn't really matter that much, but... maybe if Terran was struggling, I'd be okay with it. But it does seem a little bit tone deaf. Especially because it was also, like, one of the reasons they quoted for making the patch in the first place was to reduce turtling for all races. This seems like a blatant buff to turtling. Not a big one, but does seem to go against the overall goals. Anyways, Marine siege tank push goes across the map. Good scan to start this off. Siege tank in the back. No Ravagers yet. Serral has instead been dumping his gas into a Baneling Nest, a Hive, +1/+1 upgrades. This is turning into an exceptionally long cast, by the way. Okay. Marines continue over here, trying to see if they can get some damage done. There is a Spore Crawler, of course, from that, yeah, that Banshee defense, you can tell. Ooh. I feel like the Spore Crawler buff is almost more noticeable against Medivacs than anything else. The Medivacs really seem to be made out of paper now. Serral. Oh! Looking to see if he could become a basketball player instead. Couple of Vipers coming up. +2/+2 coming up as well. Scanny. Pretty nice. Gets a creep tumor or two. This siege tank spread is looking lethal. Oh, he unsieges the tank. Jeez, that was dangerous. Luckily for him, Serral did not commit. But that could have been a disaster. Serral not anticipating all the siege tanks doing that exact play. Reinforcing Terran units are going to be needed at home. Zergling run by indeed does get pushed back. Base at the 6 o'clock is looking vulnerable. But it's not spotted by Serral, and a planetary fortress is coming up right now. Oh, that base could have been easily harassed. Notice how Clem is expanding in the direction here of the Zerg. Good movement right here, though, by Clem. Pre-splitting his units. Great concave. And notice the lack of creep spread now in this section of the map. This is all due to those earlier plays. The Reaper being obnoxious, the Hellions, the Banshees, everything is so focused on trying to reduce the creep spread that he can actually siege up this close to the new base of the Zerg player. And even though it might not work this time, obviously Serral is a world-class Zerg. Against weaker Zerg players, this base would be dead. And you know what? Maybe Serral's base is also going to go down. New Banelings just finished up. Both players are just about to finish an awful lot of upgrades. It is in favor, though, of the Terran player, but for now this fight took place with 1-1, and Clem has been pushed all the way back. Siege tanks go down, but he's still got his eyes set on this base. Obviously, with him expanding in this direction, the reinforcements can also be rallied a little bit closer. Ground carapace level 2. Adrenal glands. All of it is done. +3/+3 here. Starts up immediately. Yeah, one of the tricky things here for Zerg is that your upgrades are disconnected, right? So since the Roaches and the Ravagers don't benefit from missile, or from melee, you need to go missile in order for them to be upgraded. These Terran units are just relatively speaking better. Obviously, eventually, you don't want to have Roaches and Ravagers anymore. They're very much so a stepping stone. But Terran here is benefiting from those upgrades the entire way through, from the beginning of the game all the way until the very end. Unless he wants to make a transition towards mech or whatever, but that seems to be entirely optional. Serral forced to make a decision as far as those upgrades go. And he decides to focus on his late game approach instead, but it means that those Roaches and Ravagers are just not dealing the damage that you would like them to do. A triple Evo is just too expensive. Clem is once more pulling ahead here, economically. Upgrade-wise. Army-wise. Like, he's pulling ahead in every single situation. There's now even Widow Mines burrowed underneath the siege tanks, just to be extra obnoxious. If Serral feels like his choice is to run the Zerglings in, they will get blown up by the Widow Mines. Clem's looking so ridiculous in this matchup right now. I don't remember anybody looking this good against anybody else ever, man. This is nutty. Massive Zergling run-by attempted, and you know what? Minimap awareness not quite flawless. Maybe if Clem can, like spend one of his talent points into like individual eye movement, you know, like a chameleon or something, he can like have one eye permanently pointed to the minimap. These sort of problems would never happen. Oh my god, that's a terrible idea, Serral. We're gonna walk into the... Oh, okay, well, fine. I guess you can maybe clean this up, but this seems to be extremely expensive. That actually went better than I thought it was gonna be. Those siege tanks, I mean, still firing. Some of them, I guess, had a blinding cloud on them, but... It was the only thing he could really do. And at least he gets the Terran off his back a little bit, but... Clem is already remaxing. He's adding on an extra starport. We gotta finish this one up. The production tab was a little bit bugged. There's two of them on there somehow. I don't understand, but... It's the same starport twice. Matter of fact, drop over here also gets denied. Oh, you know what? Maybe Serral can actually stabilize here. Here we go again. Infestors. Neural Parasite. I would imagine the forward base is going to be the next one right here on ley lines for Clem. He is going to need another expansion here before too long. He could also go for the one over there. Yeah, the age for the Ravager is now over. Any lost Ravagers will be very unlikely to be replaced. Another Zergling run-by. And these Zergling run-bys have actually been really good. Dude, pulling in the pulling in the ghosts. Ghosts are so tanky, man. Like, they go down here because of the siege tank's friendly fire, but not because of the Zerglings, really. Imagine using High Templar. Not for their abilities, but just for their base damage output. To kill a Zergling run-by. Ay, 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 ay. Very good. 3 supply or 2 supply. Still very good. Now, this is also good, though, for Serral. Gets another couple of Marines here, because they were sleeping. Starport, by the way, was finished up eventually. Fusion core right now coming up here for Clem. Barrel bombs again. Good splits by Clem every single time. I wonder who Clem even practices with for this matchup. Fungal! Oh, nope. Snipey. Like, who does Clem practice with for TVZ? I'm not entirely sure. He's very specialized, it seems, in this very European-esque style. But I don't think he's playing customs against Serral or, for example, Raynor. There's a couple other Zergs that can play like that, but not quite at the same level. Maybe he doesn't need to practice this too much. Maybe just being good at StarCraft is something that comes to him naturally, you know, at this point. Yeah, it's funny. Like, at the highest level, if Serral wants to get better at this, he would benefit from practicing with Clem. But why in the world would Clem want to practice with him? Maybe Clem could be a nice guy, and maybe Clem wants to practice with him, but I feel like it's in Clem's best interest. Because this is one of his main competitors, right? To not give him any additional practice. I know Serral puts in quite a bit of work, apparently, with Oliveira. Apparently, that's one of his main, or at least used to be, one of his main Terran practice partners. We do have another Ling Bane run by over here. Liberator range coming up. Yeah, and this is that stage in Terran versus Zerg where the Terran army is still getting better, but Zerg is just kind of like, you know, I guess you have the Hydra lunge ability, but that's not really that impactful. Terran army still continues getting better until about like the maybe like 15 to 20 minutes or so. Whereas the Zerg army tends to max out a couple of minutes before that. Look, we have all these like late game luxury upgrades like advanced ballistics, 2 range on Liberators. Now we get the medevac energy boost. We can go into that Liberator production here in a moment. Serral has a lot of money in the bank though. Couple of ghosts here going around the wrong side. Do they have cloak? They do. Siege tank gets balled down. Liberator's coming up. Trying to push this forward right now. There is still an infestor. Gets 1 ghost. Yeah, a ghost and a medevac. Still takes a couple of banelings to shut that thing down. So still a good trade actually for Clem in the end. He is now researching, Serral that is, that new upgrade for the Hydralisk. No cancel on that base. Base in the top left in a little bit of trouble. APMs, by the way, going up. As if these guys weren't playing quick enough already. Whoa, that fungal! That was nice. Actually, in this tournament, in the late game, Gumiho made like 1 Raven. I know this is something I've been shouting about for a long time, but like, you know, 1... Like, apparently it's bad. All the Terran players tell me it's bad, but like 1... Like, you know... Because it seems like Clem is losing as soon as a fungal growth comes in. So what if we can just see the fungal growth without needing to scan 1,700 times? I guess scan is objectively better if humans are robots. Zergling's coming in though. Not quite enough follow-up there. Big EMPs. No energy anymore on those Vipers. Ghosts are running away. Lynx and Banes, though, are, well, chasing all of these units down. Clem backs up to the safety of the planetary fortress. It's going to draw some fire. Serral will take that invitation, though, to kill all of the SCVs here and the planetary in the process. No SCVs on this base anymore. The Serral can just continue running back home and reinforce. Now, rinse and repeat from here is the name of the game. Hydraling Bane with some Infestor Viper for support. Let's see. Here's another fungal boy ready to go in. Oh, he sees it. Still gets a good fungal. Yeah, and I think Serral is breaking through all of this now. Problem for Clem is that he is running out of money. In a weird situation, even though he's got more resources than the opponent. This is all becoming very costly. Oh, there's the lunge, allowing some of those Zerg units to get a bit closer. Serral's breaking through a lot of the defenses. Still, though, this is a winnable game for Clem. He just needs to hold on a tad bit longer. Another Infestor is setting up shop on the left side right here. Base in the top left gets spotted. Serral has good mineral saturation still, although some of the fields are running low. One of the medevacs will be loaded up with units, and it's heading on over towards the top left. Another fungal growth, man. Yeah, now Serral's thinking, what if I just plant 2 of those guys right over there? No more planetary fortress over here. Clem's bank has been depleted. And he's no longer maxed out. Okay. This is nicely done right here by Serral. Ooh. It looks so exciting. I feel like the lunge ability is mostly useless, but it looks cool. And aesthetics mean a lot, right? Another Infestor is a possibility here. Okay, he does scan and he sees it. Snipey boy is going to be getting rid of that unit. Another medevac. Yep, is going to get targeted. Actually, I think it's the same medevac. Hydras do indeed close the distance a little bit quicker. Clem once more, close to maxing out, but this could be the last one. Quick EMP right over there, though, but the entire Terran army gets surrounded. Serral gets a point on the board. All right. Final game for today. We find ourselves on Amygdala. Has this been too much? Is this too much of a good thing? Let me know. A little bit of experimentation is obviously good. Testing out some new stuff on the YouTubes, even after all these years, but it does seem like we've seen a lot of TVZ now. I kind of feel like Clem made his point about 5 games ago. Let's see. To be fair, if Serral wins this one going 5-3, it sounds a hell of a lot better than going 6-2. Right? Considering how dominant Clem has been here. Serral's playing really well. That's the thing. That's the thing that's kind of making it difficult for me personally. It's not like Serral's playing poorly. Like, Serral's playing really freaking good. He's just getting outpaced a little bit. Clem's a monster. It seems to me so far that if Clem gets any damage done early on, he wins the game. Oh my god. Are these rocks? The rocks are not in the middle of the little... What about the ones on the other side? Oh, wait, well, hold up. Why are the rocks not in the middle? Either the rocks are not in the middle, or the little graphical indicator where the base goes is not in the middle, which would be even worse. Clem seems to be highly specialized at sniping Serral in particular. I wonder if you like have 2 perfect players, like say you have a perfect AI, limited, maybe capped to like 500 actions. So say you have a perfect artificial player going up against another perfect artificial player, both capped at 500 APM, 1 Terran, 1 Zerg. It seems to me, and I might be wrong, but it seems to me that Terran would be really hard to beat in this matchup. Because really, in the games that Serral has won so far, it seems that he's only really getting it done because there's a random... Well, okay, only is not really fair. But one of the main reasons why he's getting it done is because he's suddenly appearing with an infestor that Clem did not expect. That seems to be one of the absolute keys to Serral's late game wins. And I feel like those plays are preventable. I feel like that's something that Clem could be scouting for better. Obviously, it's hard. I understand that adding, for example, a Raven or scans all over the map and to anticipate where that move... Like, I understand that it's really hard. But it is something that requires a little bit of luck on the Zerg side of things. In my mind, you're not really supposed to be able to reliably hit a fungal growth on the entirety of the Terran army. Obviously, when you create chaos, it's still a game of attention. It is tricky. It may also just be that Serral needs to reinvent early game. This is a Hellbat push. And this Hellbat push is... Well, it's a roach opener for Serral, so... This should be relatively holdable. Still though, the Marines on the back of this, putting in quite a bit of work, but Serral has already defended this. Good drone pool. Yeah, this is momentum in favor of the Zerg player. Look at the drone count. It's gonna skyrocket ahead here over the next minute. Serral just making as many drones as possible right now because he knows there's not gonna be much follow-up aggression until a little bit later on. 1-1 starts up. Combat shield starts up. I think it's fair to say we're gonna see Clem dominate for the foreseeable future. This has certainly been the most impressive player of 2024. He hasn't won everything he's played in. Not like some players we've seen in the past where they just look absolutely unstoppable. But I also don't know if that's really possible in modern StarCraft 2. Like, StarCraft 2 is such a figured out game these days. But if I had to award Player of the Year to anybody, it would be 100% Clem. Just ridiculous. Marine drop coming in. Actually, a significant number of drones go down here. 11 workers just like that is a lot. Barracks 6, 7, and 8 coming up. This is once more going to be an 8 Rex all-in. So rather than going 4 bases and then 2 or 3 additional barracks, we're going straight to 8 Rex. Armory should also be coming up here momentarily. Oh, it's already there. Okay. Armory is already done. We're going to go into 2-2 as soon as these upgrades are done. And Clem is basically just going to pile on as many units as he can make. It is a hit economically. Serral can hold this. Baneling speed, however, is critical. Generally speaking, you don't go 8 Rex against a Zerg player opening up roaches. Technically speaking, it's very holdable for Zerg. But at this point, obviously Serral is well aware of that. He's also not likely to expect it. Okay. Oh. Trading 1 Marine for a Baneling. Not terrible. That's still minerals for gas. And Clem wants to play against as few Banelings as possible now that he's coming in with a big attack in the southern section of the map. Zerglings, okay. Trying to get a wraparound. Siege tank is gonna go down to 1. Oh, never mind. It's actually tanked a lot of damage instead. Did not quite go down. In the meantime, that Marine drop that was cleared out in the main base is gonna continue as another push over here. Eventually, that siege tank does fall, but this is one hell of a fight here for Clem regardless. That line of siege tanks in the back putting in a lot of supplemental damage. Marine Marauder drop over here. Still a thorn in Serral's side. Queens are not as reliable a source of anti-air anymore, so he basically has to just chase this army around, and at this point there's enough. Drones are fighting all of those units as well. There's a lot of workers going down here for the Zerg player from Finland. Banelings are connecting with some of the Marines, but the majority of them did stay alive. Creep spread has been pushed all the way back again. Clem producing 10 Marines at once. 2 Marauders and a siege tank. He did apparently smash his piggy bank for +2. Did not quite get the +2 armor rolling, but Serral is already feeling the heat. And just like that, it's Clem who gets the map win and ends up going 6-2 over Serral at HomeStory Cup. GG.